Detachment isn't about removing joy from your life or cutting ties with everything that matters. It's about loosening your emotional grip on the things that take more than they give. We often cling to what feels familiar, not because it's good for us, but because the alternative feels uncertain. But growth rarely happens in certainty. It happens in the soft, uncomfortable spaces where we learn to trust ourselves. One of the biggest lessons I've learned, both as a therapist and as a human, is that attachment becomes dangerous when it replaces your sense of self. When your identity becomes wrapped around a person, a habit, or a routine, you stop seeing yourself clearly. You stop hearing your own needs. You stop noticing the quiet signs that your soul is asking for change. When people walk into my office for the first time, they often tell me they're stuck. Not because of something new, but because of something familiar. Something they believe they can't do without. It might be a relationship, a habit, a routine, or even a belief about who they're supposed to be. And I always ask the same question. What if the thing you think you need is actually the thing holding you back from becoming who you're meant to be? A few years ago, I worked with someone who said she could never imagine life without constant busyness. Filling every moment made her feel productive, valuable, alive. But underneath that was fear. Fear of stillness, fear of facing herself, fear that if she slowed down, she'd discover she wasn't enough. And yet, it was in the very moment she allowed herself to pause that she finally began to breathe again. One of the biggest lessons I've learned, both as a therapist and as a human, is that attachment becomes dangerous when it replaces your sense of self. When your identity becomes wrapped around a person, a habit, or a routine, you stop seeing yourself clearly. You stop hearing your own needs. You stop noticing the quiet signs that your soul is asking for change. So how do we begin to detach? We start small, we start gently. First, bring awareness to the role this thing plays in your life, not with judgment, but with honesty. Ask yourself, what do I fear will happen if I let go, even a little? Often, the fear itself teaches us more than the attachment. Second, create tiny moments of separation. If it's a habit, give yourself a small window of time without it. If it's a belief about yourself, challenge it by doing one thing that contradicts it. If it's a person, allow space, emotionally or physically, to observe your own thoughts without their influence. So how do we begin to detach? We start small, we start gently, and finally remind yourself that detachment is not abandonment, it's alignment. You're not pushing something away, you're making room for the version of yourself that's been waiting for attention. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, your life with a bit more space, a little more clarity, a little less weight. Imagine making choices not from fear or dependency, but from peace. That version of you exists, and detachment is the path back to them. Before we end, I'll leave you with a thought I share often in sessions. Sometimes the hardest thing to let go of isn't the thing itself, but who you thought you had to be to keep it. Take a breath, reflect gently, and remember, you are allowed to outgrow anything, even the things you once thought you needed to survive. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to continue this journey together. Like this video, subscribe for more conversations like this, and share it with someone who might need a moment of reflection today. And in the comments, tell me, what's one thing you're ready to loosen your grip on?